I love Ed Reed. I love Ray Lewis. They're first ballot Hall of Famers. But they were old and they were slow. When you look at the tape of that game, which I did after the Super Bowl, it was crystal clear the game plan that Jim Harbaugh had against that defense. It was going to be attack those two guys. They got Crabtree, they got Davis on Ray Lewis, and they just handled it. The second half of that game was all San Francisco, and no doubt the Ravens are hanging on. So then you look at the offseason, the acquisitions they make. You know, they get a Michael Huff, they get a Matt Elam, they get a Chris Canty, get Elmo Stumerville. You know, they've made changes to upgrade that defense. That alone still shows me they're the best team in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens.
Ron Jaworski, you know how much I love you, but Lord have mercy, do I disagree with you on this one. So let me start with the defense. You cannot tell me that Ray Lewis's miraculous return early from the triceps injury, just on mere presence, didn't propel that team through the postseason. I get it. I'm with you on old and slow. I thought that a couple times just watching on television where I'd say, wow, Ray, you should have gotten there. But just on mere presence, having Ed Reed back there as the quarterback of that secondary was huge for that football team. And then you cannot continue to lose younger talent. Ellerby and Kruger, Pollard's an older talent, but he can still play. He could still get there and lay the wood on people when it was time. You can't keep losing that much talent from that defense and tell me it could be even better now.
They didn't lose that much talent. The
now,
talent
Ellerby
level
is a talent.
And Kruger was a one-dimensional player.
Okay, but
every team loses talent. Will you take Elvis Dumerville? That's not an improvement. You put Terrell Suggs and Elvis Dumerville on the side with Chris Canty and Haloti Ngata inside. My goodness, you're a better football team, pass rush-wise. And again, I don't want to be apologetic toward Ed Reed or Ray Lewis because I love those guys. But when you look at how they were used, what Ed Reed became was a deep free safety, not the playmaker he once was. Sometimes we hang on to these guys too long on the downside. They probably should have been out of there sooner, but they hung in there, and except for a couple blitzes from Ed Reed in that Super Bowl, which they were well designed and well executed, and Dean Pease did a great job of timing them when he called them, the 49ers win the Super Bowl.
I'm going to hop on what Skip said there at the beginning, because I have the utmost respect for you, and it's really hard for me to disagree with you, but I will because I do. I don't even think they're the best team in their division when I look at what Cincinnati has done. And I think you're vastly underestimating the impact.
When's Cincinnati going to win a playoff game, Danny? Come on. You're going to look at when are they going to win a plaoff game? When are they going to step up and win a playoff?
But people always ask that about teams that have to get it done. You feel like they're on the cusp.
But, you know, we haven't even gotten to the offensive side for the Ravens.
No, exactly.
Historically, one of the best playoff performances ever by a quarterback.
But they have to get there. And I agree with Skip. One of the big reasons they got there was hopping on the Ray Lewis, retirement bandwagon and the emotional uplift. I think the biggest part was not even on the field. You look at the impact those guys had in the locker room Monday through Saturday, prepping for the games. That was basically an extra coach. And you know the importance of having that character, the voice in the locker room that is an extension of the coaching staff. And it remains to be seen if they're as impactful of one of the greatest linebackers, the most impactful linebackers in the game, in the locker room. And
when he was healthy, when he was younger, not the old Ray Lewis we saw late in his career.
So then let's flip it to the offensive side of the ball, because when I look at Joe Flacco, yes, maybe the most impressive playoff run ever, but when I look at the regular season, I see pedestrian numbers. I mean, very middle of the pack when you look at touchdowns, completion percentage, and the rest of his stats.
You look at numbers, I look at the tape.
Okay.
And that's great. And I respect your opinion. I respect Skip's opinion. That's what's great. We all have opinions. Right. But we look at numbers and, he's going to miss Anquan Bolden. Hey, Q is a fine receiver. But there was no separation. He gets a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl because Navarro Bowman is covering him. Joe reads the coverage. He likes the matchup. He gets there. What Q brought was the ability to make contested catches.
He did.
There was very little separation. So I like that Jacoby Jones is going to be on that field. The deep ball threat is they're going to have to find a slot receiver. I'll agree. But I think the younger, quicker receiving core will play better to Joe's strength, and that's the deeper ball.
So, but here's my thing about Flacco, because I think from his own fans, the expectations, the perception of him now that he's a $20 million quarterback is that he's going to have to live up to this sort of top 5 statistically type of guy. And that concerns me if that pressure is placed on him.
Well, Joe has never been that kind of guy. Joe has always played the game from when he was.
But you know better than anybody the way people's perception.
Who cares about perception? Who cares? Joe doesn't care about that. Joe wants to go to work. It's that simple. I mean, I know Joe, and I know how he is. Joe hasn't changed since his days at Delaware to hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy. The guy hasn't changed one bit. Money's not going to change Joe. That's the fabric. He's a solid family guy. He goes back home to New Jersey in the offseason. He doesn't like doing all these things that the celebrities do. Joe loves to play football. That'll never change.
I love
the money, the accolades won't change Joe.
And that's why I love him too. That about him. But I think when the perception and the pressure starts to change, because he's been able to beat average Joe, the guy that just kind of leads his team to wins. That's all that matters. But now there will be an expectation from the fans and the media for him to put that team on his back.
Danny, you played, I played. We have those same expectations on ourselves. We wouldn't be where we were if we didn't have those expectations. You don't make it to be an NFL football player if you're not motivated and driven. And I've always felt the external forces don't change who you are.
Would you agree that Joe Flacco has been to you what Tim Tebow has been to me? You have been on his bandwagon from the start, and you took heat for saying he was going to become a great player, and he's become, by many standards, a very good player, and he hoisted the trophy. But back to Danny's point, last year, if I can just use the stats, he recorded the 2 lowest QBRs in the history of the statistic. A 0.3 at Houston and a 0.4 at home against Peyton. His QBR for the year, and I do believe in this stat, was 25th overall. Jake Locker had a better overall QBR for the regular season than your man Flacco did. Now he is the face of the franchise, and he is going to be entrusted with the responsibility of living up to that game in and game out. He's going to have to be the man for this team without Anquan pulling off catches that I said, how did he catch that? Like you say, contested? Or I'd say Anquan was the best receiver in the playoffs to me without separation. I give you that. But Joe got to the point where he could throw it up because Anquan was going to go up and pull it down. Right?
Why do you have to take a negative approach? And you said you couch it with the winningest quarterback. This guy Joe has been phenomenal, winning football games. Then you find one little thing wrong with his game. I could do that with every quarterback. Well, the second quarter he's really bad. I heard your Tim Tebow stats. We can do what we want with the stats. The bottom line at the end of the day is to hoist the Vince Lombardi trophy, to be the world champion. The bottom line from a quarterback is to win. Joe Flacco has won. I've seen bad games. I've seen Peyton Manning have bad games. I saw Tom Brady have a bad game in the playoff against a Raven defense. I saw Peyton Manning make mistakes against that Raven defense in a playoff game as well. We can all find those little things, those nuances in a player's game. So, look what he did. I mean, QBR, touchdown. The bottom line, you have to win.
Okay, will he continue to win offensively without Anquan and without Dennis Pitta?
Yes, the Pitta loss,
is a big one.
It's a big loss because that was a security blanket. But you still have Ray Rice in the backfield.
You do.
You still have Bernard Pierce. The foundation is not going to change with this offense with Caldwell. It's not going to change. They've added Juan Castillo on that to coordinate the running game. They're a running team, a play-action pass game, and a downfield pass game because they play to the strengths of Joe Flacco.